What's going on, guys? Zuko back with another Shadowlands video. How are you all doing? Grab your coffees and clean off your desk. What the hell is on my desk? Okay. We got it. We got it. It's all right. Clean your desk. Okay? Mine's dirty. Yours is probably dirty too. Go clean it. What are we talking about today? We're talking about a plus 15 necrotic wake that I did. Now, we tried a different build, which is why we did a plus 15. So, obviously 15's not that high anymore at this point in the season. I'm trying to push into like 18s now is the territory that I'm working at. So, a 15 obviously isn't that great, but I was trying a completely new build, and it was in fact a Stormstrike build with Night Fae. So, I've done a Stormstrike build in the other video as Necrolord. We're kind of working through the Covenants. I want to try it as Night Fae because I think it's got some interesting synergies, obviously, with Witch Doctor Wolfbone. So let me get into the build in a second. First, I did get to 270 eye level. 270. I got my 291 Unity finally. And I have 291 Witch Doctor Wolfbones and a 291 PLA somewhere. My bags are really, you know, there's a lot of space in here. I just triggered so many people. I'm not going to open my bags anymore. Don't worry. You don't have to look in there. But I do have a 291 of these things, and we are working with our 4-piece. So we're essentially online. We're about as online as you can get. I have some adjustments to make here. Like I'm going to make a tier piece out of my headset, my headpiece next week. And then I'm going to upgrade my gloves because these ones are kind of garbage. There's another pair of gloves I'm going to put in there instead, and I don't know where they went, but somehow they got lost. I said I wasn't going to open my bags in again. I'm sorry. Okay. What did we do for this dungeon, though? Well, we ended up doing about 12.7k overall. You can see it is very Stormstrike focused. So what was the build? Well, we went Night Fae, and we went Witch Doctor Wolfbones. Sorry, I still got my cold a little bit. Witch Doctor Wolfbones as Night Fae. So you're going to get the combo of doing your wolves into a Fae transfusion, and it's going to get you your wolves basically back right away. Why did I try this with Stormstrike? Well, it's because of the second effect from Night Fae Legendary. Each pulse of Fae Transfusion damage reduces the dog's cooldowns, like I just said. It also gives you crit. So, Fae Transfusion pulses 6 times, for those of you guys who didn't know. So, 9 times 6 is 54 seconds off of your dog, so you basically get them back right away. And then, you also get 4 times 6, 6 times 4, which is 24% crit for 15 seconds. Crit is very good for the Stormstrike build. Mastery is not. Why? Because Stormstrike does physical damage. It doesn't benefit from your mastery at all. It's not fire, frost, or nature damage. Obviously, you get the Stormbringer proc, but I'm talking about pure damage output. It doesn't benefit from mastery. So my build is particularly bad for this setup because I have a lot of mastery. That's what I invested in. So if you had a lot of crit, this build would be a lot better. It would be a lot better. Here's the build that we ended up running. We did Forceful Winds, Storm Flurry, Hailstorm in the dungeon. Storm Flurry is just incredibly good. You could go Ellie Assault, but then you have literally no AoE damage at all. So you really need to go Hailstorm, I think, for the synergy with Witch Doctor Wolfbones, because we are, of course, running the Chilled to the Core Conduit. So every time we Frost Shock, each target that gets hit by Frost Shock, which could be 6 targets, each target hit has a chance to give us 2 stacks. If every target that we hit, if all 6 targets get the Chilled to the Core proc, that's 12 stacks of Maelstrom weapon generation in one Frost Shock cast. So not only do we get 12 stacks of Maelstrom weapon to spend on Lightning Bolt and stuff, but it also reduces the cooldown of our dogs because of Witch Doctor Wolfbone. So that's the synergy that you're going to see there. Okay, that's why we run this conduit. So that's why I also love Hailstorm. Hailstorm increases the amount of proc chances that you're going to get on the Chilled to the Core Conduit. It's a really, really good synergy. So, Forceful Winds for the extra damage. We don't want extra buttons. Elemental Blast is bad in this build. We don't want extra buttons to press because we want to spam Stormstrike. This is why. Your 4-piece, this is the other reason why we're running this build. The 4-piece that says your Feral Spirits attacks have a 20% chance to trigger Stormbringer. That's why we're running Storm Flurry. That's why we're focusing on Stormstrike. You're going to get so many resets on Stormstrike. I'm not even kidding. It'll just keep resetting itself over and over and over again. So you don't want to take LE Blast. You don't want any extra buttons, okay? That's the build. It is Forceful Wind, Storm Flurry, Hailstorm. We are running Witch Doctor Wolfbones with Night Fae. So on a pull, it's something like Wolves into Fae Transfusion into Sundering plus 1 button. Then your Wolves will be back off cooldown. You're going to cast them again, and you'll have about 8 seconds of at least 4 Wolves. And then your tier set bonus is going to give you more Wolves every time you has a chance to give you a Wolf whenever you use a Spender, 15% chance. And then those Wolves are going to all the auto attacks from the Wolves, you might have 4 or 5 of them out at the same time, they're going to reset the cooldown of Storm Strike. So you want to be pressing Storm Strike, hence the talent choice here. Okay? And then, of course, we're running Focus Lightning, and we're running Essential Extraction. I wanted to get the cooldown of Fae Transfusion down because we want to be using it as much as possible in conjunction with the Feral Spirit window. You always want to be able to press Feral Spirits into a Fae Transfusion because it basically gets you your dogs back. And then you can have 4 dogs out instead of 2. So that's the build. Okay? Everybody understand? Let's jump over to the video. I have a couple notes that I have here that I want to talk about. Sorry again about my throat. My sickness is kind of just going away. We're just getting rid of it. So, first of all, there's a little treat right before the dungeon. This is hilarious, you know? Wow, look at this absolute Chad. Look at this guy. This is the ugliest Culturian outfit I've ever seen in my life. Oh my god, look this guy knows exactly what he's doing. Is this not the best outfit you've ever seen? It's so gross. It's like the grossest thing ever. He looks so dumb. He looks like it's the first day being a knight. It's just day one. They're going to stick him right on the front lines and he's going to die. Isn't that amazing? One Punch Man. That's right. It's the One Punch Man. I love it. His outfit is so ridiculous. It looks like he went to a secondhand store for the Scarlet Crusade. Right?
I was thinking that too, yeah.
He walked into the Scarlet Crusade thrift store and was like, give me the worst stuff. Give me the yellow and the red. We'll splash it together. It'll be good. Anyway, I thought this guy was hilarious. So I had to make sure I included him in the video. So here's the opening pack. 146. 40. Oh. He pulled by accident. Here's the opener here. The first day we packed. Torrent now. It's ruined. He changed to a Torrent. Oh, it's all ruined. So, again, I've summoned my dogs, and then I'm channeling Fae Transfusion. Watch the cooldown on this Feral Spirits here. 1 and 52, 40, 30, 16. Wait, did I? And then I press a couple buttons, and they're back. 6 seconds. Now they're back. I cast them again. Now, look at the bottom of my bar here. I have 3 Fire Wolves, and it looks like 2 Storm Strike Wolves. So my Storm Strike is now doing 50% more damage, and my Wind Fury. I think they're both doing at least... It's 25%, I think, for both. I can't even remember the exact number, but the point is my Storm Strike and my Wind Fury damage is hitting like a bus right now, and my fire damage is too. So I want to make sure I'm spreading those Flame Shocks. All my Flame Shocks have 60% more damage on them, and if I don't have Hot Hands, so I'm not going to be able to cash in on the Lava Lash portion of it, but the Flame Shock portion of it, I will. One thing that I do mess up a lot in this dungeon, there's a couple things. One of them is I press Crash Lightning a little bit too much. I need to do Storm Strike. Just Crash Lightning once. Once you get the buff, you get a buff for 10 seconds. And I'm like, I need to press Crash Lightning less. I need to just press Storm Strike more because I'm getting the resets on it. That's one thing I need to do better. Number 2, I missed a lot of Flame Shock uptime in this dungeon. It's really hard to remember to press like Flame Shock and then Lava Lash as a maintenance button to just keep the Flame Shocks rolling. And my damage would have been way, way better in this dungeon. I just keep forgetting to do that because I'm so focused on pressing Storm Strike. It's only like my 2nd or 3rd dungeon rolling with this build, so I have to kind of like shift my mindset again. When you're running something like Primal Lava Actuators, you don't even have to think about it, right? Because you're always pressing Lava Lash anyway. But with this build, it's a maintenance button now. It changes its function, so that's a problem. The affixes, of course, are Sanguine, Storming, Tyrannical. So that's it. We're doing good damage, though. 21k in the opener. It could have been a lot better if I'd managed things a bit better, but this build really, really thrives on getting the cooldown of your dogs back. Like, Your dogs just cool down so fast. And then you always have these windows with Fate Transfusion where you get 4 dogs out at the same time for like at least 8 seconds. So it's very cool. It's very, very cool. This guy just looks so ridiculous. There's a moment coming up right here.
It's just...
Watch this. I summon my dogs, and then I get a dog proc. I have 3 fire dogs right now. So this is something that, you know, is just going to happen with these kinds of builds. I'm pretty heavily indexed into Stormstrike damage. You can see up here, though, I have 3 fire dogs. So they're not giving me any buff to my Stormstrike at all. So I wouldn't say that they're, like, wasted. It's not wasted. It's just that, like, it's just not the best for this build. Whereas I think if you're running a hot hand setup and you get 3 Stormstrike dogs, the cooldown of Stormstrike's like 4 seconds. So you could still cash in on the Stormstrike damage even if you're running a fire build and you happen to get 3 Stormstrike dogs. You see what I'm saying? Like, imagine if this was reversed. I was running a fire build with hot hand. I get a hot hand proc, and then I get 3 Stormstrike dogs. So it's like, I wish those were fire dogs, but I can still press Stormstrike with that build, and it's off cooldown a lot. Whereas in this version of the build, I'm running a Stormstrike build, and my Lava Lash is a 9-second cooldown. So if I get 3 fire dogs, I only get to press Lava Lash like once in that fire dog window. See what I'm saying? So the damage diversity, it's not as diversified with this build. We're kind of all in on Stormstrike. And if we get 3 fire dogs, it's like, okay, well, our Flame Shocks are going to do extra damage, which is great, but that's about it. So we're not cashing in on as much damage. Versus the hot hand build, I think, is more diversified. You have a better chance of cashing in on the different wolves that you're getting. So it's not like the end of the world. I just wanted to put a little caveat in there to say that, like, this is kind of important, and it might make the hot hand build just straight up better because of this one fact that, you know, if you happen to get Stormstrike dogs, you can still cash in on them with the hot hand build, but if you get fire dogs with the Stormstrike build, you can't cash in on them as well. So that was a long caveat, but it's really important to understand these things. Let's skip to the first boss, Blightborne. Blightborne's like our best boss, I think, in this dungeon. Ow. We end up doing a lot of damage here. He gets the Hailstorm with Frost Shock. And then Stormstrike with Storm Flurry does it a lot quicker too. So those are all the tools you have to reduce the cooldown of your dogs. Your Storm Strike will generate stacks of Maelstrom Weapon on its own, and Storm Flurry will trigger that to do it more, so you have a high chance of getting stacks there. Frost Shock, when it cleaves, has a very high chance to generate stacks of Maelstrom Weapon. And then your Fey Transfusion, right? Of course, the big button down here also does it. So again, it's all about getting the dogs there. So it's kind of the combo of those two things. So here's Blightborne. We're going to Lust. So again, you still want to spread your Flame Shocks. You want to do Lava Lash into Flame Shock, but then you just leave it. It's a maintenance thing. Once those Flame Shocks have ticked for 18 seconds, you can refresh them, but don't do it until then. I do dogs. I do Fey Transfusion. My dogs come back. You can see the cooldown here. Right now I have 4 dogs, 2 fire, 2 storm. So my Storm Strike's doing an incredible amount of damage. Look at my damage right now. 23, 24. It's good damage on single target. It's really, really good. We are doing some damage. Yeah, very, very strong. This is where I would say that Necrolord is going to fall behind a little bit versus Night Fae, right? On the bosses, on Tyrannical week of these dungeons. This week right now that we're in is Tyrannical week. Night Fae is going to do very, very well on boss fights because it does a ton of damage. It does like 40,000 damage, Fey Transfusion. And then it gives you all this crit. And it reduces your dogs. And your dogs are good for single target damage. So this build, I think, works very, very well on this week. You can fill a particular role in your group, which is that single target sort of niche. I'm going to absolutely funnel a boatload of damage into boss fights. We're doing 4K more than anybody else. You know, and they're going to do more damage than us on AoE. Absolutely. They're going to do more damage than us on AoE, but the single target damage is huge. And on Tyrannical weeks, you really do need that single target damage. It's so important. So that's my little rant about this week. If you want to run this build this week, this is definitely the time to do it because you'll just pump single target damage. It's great. So we do almost 16k there overall on Blightborne. Really strong. Woo! Also, Sweaty, it's Night Fae, right? So if I channel Fae Transfusion, I'm just explaining it to the Twitch chat there. So let me talk about Feral Lunge usage really quickly, because this is something that came up in my YouTube comments. I forget exactly who was talking about it, but it's really important, actually. Someone's stunning him right in... here we go. I skipped ahead. There's a couple instances where I take Feral Lunge instead of Nature's Guardian, which is the self-heal. What I want to say on the outset is that Feral Lunge is really, really important for maintaining uptime on the boss. It doesn't do any damage. Like, it does a tiny bit of damage, the actual lunge itself. The lunge is not about doing damage. It's about maintaining uptime on the boss. If you're a melee player in World of Warcraft, your best DPS increase that you can ever do to make yourself do more damage is to never leave the boss, to make sure that you maintain uptime on the boss. If you do that, you will do more damage. Feral Lunge helps to facilitate that, because there'll be times when you have to walk away from a boss. Raid bosses are such a perfect example of this, where you might have to take a mechanic away from a boss. In the raid right now, I can think of like Halandris, where you have to take those missiles away. Zymox, if you get a portal and you have to take it to the edge of the encounter on Zymox, you can Feral Lunge back in. It reduces the amount of downtime you have. You want to have uptime on the boss. All of the Lihivim fight, you know the Lihivim arena, how big it is? And if you do it on Heroic, the big Atomas, like, they blast you away. So for like the first blast, you can be standing next to a wall, and that's good. You can get blasted, and the second blast will hit you. And like mid-blast, you can dash back into the boss and do extra damage. So the Anduin fight, when you go downstairs in the downstairs realm on the Anduin fight, Feral Lunging to the different adds to maintain your damage is so critical down there, because you need to do, you're on a time limit. So Feral Lunge is about uptime on the boss. It's about maintaining uptime, and it's really, really important for that. And someone's stunning him right. There's little niche situations like this where there's a patrol coming that I need to dodge. So I just jump out of the way with Feral Lunge. This is not the best example of Feral Lunge, but I'll show you a better example later. But I just want to highlight that the reason you take the talent is to keep uptime on the enemies. Your melee attacks account for so much of your damage, and you need to make sure that you're doing that, or else you're going to lose a lot of damage. That's the reason to take the talent over something like Nature's Guardian. Let's go to the Amarth boss fight. Should I lust here? Probably. I'm just going to do it. So we actually wiped on Amarth a couple times because it's Tyrannical, and we didn't kill the ads in time. So I decided to lust this time. And we had a bunch of Automas kicking around as well. But you need to take care of the ads. And you need to kick the Frostbolt ads as an enhancement shaman. That's really job number one for you, because you've a ranged kick. It's really easy to get them. But you have to kill the ads before he does his, like, big green circle thing, or you're dead. The final harvest will just kill you if you don't do it in time. So make sure you do that. Rest of the fight's pretty simple. It's just about the ads, but it's about kicking the ads, killing the ads as quickly as possible. We're doing 18k right now with this build on a boss fight. Again, the damage from this build is really, really strong on Tyrannical Week, because you just kick the bosses in the teeth. Obviously, there's some AoE that we're cheating with a bit here, but so is everybody else. Focus adds pretty hard here. So we do end up killing him. We almost die there. The final stage is a little bit sketchy, but we get him down.
Ads?
Yeah, we got him. We're good. I was just getting killed, I guess, by the ads. I was trying to figure out what was killing me. Good. There you go. We do about 13.7 on that boss fight. That was a pretty tough boss fight for us. Next, obviously, we have the room up above where you have to clear all this out. This is potentially where our build struggles to do the most damage that it possibly can. But again, I don't think I was playing this very well. I was pressing Crash Lightning like way too much. It's just a bad habit of mine. I should have been pressing Storm Strike more. But our damage is okay here, but it's not going to be anywhere near like sufficient if you were doing this on a much higher key. So this is where the build struggles for sure. It's going to be really, really good at the boss fights and on any like small cleave fights, but the bigger AoE is tougher to deal with here. So we'll skip ahead to the boss. Let's go to the next boss fight.
Hey,
This
Twisted
is
Ash, how are you?
Stitchflesh.
Is Enhance hard to play? We have
It can
4
be.
minutes and 15 seconds per boss.
So we were kind of running out of time here because we messed up on Amarth pretty bad, but we end up actually recovering very well and getting this done.
You want me to kill right now?
So I'm trying to kill just to get everybody their cooldowns back, and then we're trying to kill Stitchflesh.
Throw any spears you got if you got them.
Then I've got, here's a great example. Oh, I don't have enough cooldown. This is what's so good about as well. If you have Fae Transfusion with this build and the dogs, like is so good. It's just more cooldown reduction. You can have so many dogs out at the same time. It's really, really good.
No, throw it at the boss, dude.
He manages to clip the boss here. He gets really like, you're supposed to throw it at the boss, but he actually clips the boss.
Oh, he actually hit him. Okay,
so that was
thank
kind of
God.
lucky.
That was lucky.
I'm getting my dogs out again.
Yeah, Twisted. I don't have the 292 Unity belt or
I
the
do now.
292
I didn't back then, but I do
legendary,
now.
regular legendary. I don't have either of those. I gotta replace both those.
Remember the third hook in this fight. So the first hook goes to the stage to pull the boss down. The second hook goes into Stitchflesh himself to stop him from doing morbid fixation. The third hook needs to go back to the stage because Stitchflesh, the hook will come out and you need to aim it at the stage, and then Stitchflesh will like jump, and right as he lands on the platform, that hook will go out and it will pull him back down again. So remember, hook number 3 always goes back to the stage.
I just don't have any money, so I'll get that soon.
Our dogs are coming off cooldown, and our Fae
Just
Transfusion's
train
coming
down
off
the
cooldown.
boss if you can.
Here comes our dogs. Our Fae Transfusion's like 1 second away. And it gets us our dogs back right away. 3 seconds on dogs. We summon our dogs again. So I have 4 dogs. I have 3 Storm Strike dogs right now. My Storm Strike's probably doing 10,000 damage per hit right now.
If we get him down,
It's
we're
crazy.
good to go here.
I mean,
Okay, that was really fast.
he dies anyway.
Now we're
but-
looking fine.
Really fast.
That was really quick. So we'll have Lust and no weapons, I don't think, for the
Oh,
top.
did we not lust? Okay.
Yeah, that was just weapons. We just used weapons there.
I assumed we lusted.
We did 12.6k there. That was
Usually
good damage.
lusting, this guy's a little bit better.
Again, all of our stuff's on cooldown right now, but we'll get it back. The dogs are 50 seconds away. If the dogs are 50 seconds away with this build, it's more like they're 12 seconds away. Maybe 15. I'm going to say 14 seconds away. Let's count it.
Boss.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm good with whatever.
1,
I'll just do it on pull,
2,
and then we'll get all of our damage
3,
out before people have to go
4,
downstairs.
5, 6, 7, 8,
Somebody was
9,
killing
10, 11,
I don't know who.
12,
wonder who that could be.
13, 14. I got rooted. It's not my fault. I got rooted. 14 and a half. 14.
Run,
Look
run,
at there
run,
it
move,
is.
move, move.
They're back. Did you see that? 14 and a half seconds.
Wow, the tornadoes.
All right,
with that
if I didn't get
mechanic
rooted, okay, it
are
would have been.
insane. Holy shit.
So we have a big haste buff right now. I also no, I don't. Big haste buff right now, and we're just pumping damage before one of us gets sent downstairs. So Fatum gets sent, unfortunately.
No.
He's actually the worst person to get sent down.
Did you
because
have most of your damage
he was
out
in the
before
middle
you
of
got
his
sent
big
down?
Necrolord mage thing.
Well, no. I used
damn.
Stepborn on the last boss, so I don't have it up right.
Fae Transfusion came back. Our wolves are going to come back right now.
I agree, yeah.
I'm doing about almost 12k. 12k there. We're getting crazy Storm Strike procs. The dogs being out all the time proccing your Storm Strike is so good, man. This is maybe the problem with the 4 set if you're doing a fire build, is that if you get a hot hand proc and all the dogs are triggering Stormbringer, it's like you want to be pressing Storm Strike. So there's a bit of a contention there, but
Looking
it's,
pretty good, though.
it still will work fine. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah, no, I mean, unless we wipe 7 minutes on the last boss.
So one more important thing's happening here. I get sent downstairs right now.
Goodbye.
And I'm going to show you the value of taking
Goodbye
Feral
now.
Lunge as a talent. So I use my speed right here, use Spirit Walk to dodge stuff. And then once you're about halfway, you can just lunge the rest of the way. And boom, you're there. And it's like, it just makes this section a lot easier. It might not seem like a big thing, but it is. It's a big deal. You want to get done this phase down here as quickly as humanly possible. You just want to. I actually got to follow during the video.
Physics.
That's funny.
Physics. Physics, thanks for the
So
follow.
Feral Lunge is really
Appreciate it.
important, and it's just
Good
important
name.
to remember. One last thing I'm going to say about this fight is when you come back up from being banished, you're going to drop a ice like circle around you. You can see the debuff on me right now. It's counting down from 4 seconds. You need to go hide in a corner somewhere, and I completely forgot that I had this on me. 3, 2, 1, and here comes the ice. I just drop it
Oh,
directly
that's
on
my
the
fault.
tank because I'm an
Shoot.
idiot. You should take that to the corner just for like 2 seconds, drop it off there, and then go fight. Otherwise, the room will just fill up with ice. You really don't want that. So that's it. We end up getting him. We end up getting him down with plenty of time to spare. So even our mistakes that we made earlier on Amarth don't end up sort of biting us in the butt here, which is really great. So that's it.
Nice.
We did 12.7 overall. Again, I think I missed a lot of flame shock damage, and I crash lightninged
I
a
got
little
one
bit,
rating from
a
that.
little bit
That's
too
huge.
much. So
20 for me.
I needed to
Nice.
I need to do better at that. So let's go back to gameplay. Let's take a look at the over under here. Let's look at the damage. 12.7k again. Could have been higher. I should have played a lot better, but kind of new with this build for now. So chain lightning actually at the top. That's kind of strange. I must have just cast it a lot. Storm Strike, of course, is at the top as well. Look where Lava Lash is. It's just a maintenance buff now, guys. If you don't have Hot Hand, you are not pressing this button. I mean, you know, you're just pressing it to get the flame shocks rolling. My flame shock still did 9.2%, which is great. It's actually not bad at all. But they could have done probably 11% or 11.5% if I had done it better. So Spirit Wolves are always going to be doing 10% of your damage, and the uptime on Wolves was about 71%, which is a lot in a Mythic Plus dungeon that has a lot of extra running and stuff, right? 71% is fantastic. So very good stuff. Frost Shock's there. You know, all the stuff's there. But Storm Strike is the strange outlier, right? We're not used to seeing this up in the top of our damage charts anymore because we don't run builds that use Storm Strike. So that's it, guys. That's the Night Fae build. Once again, you're going to run Witch Doctor Wolfbones. You're going to go Night Fae. You're going to summon your dogs and then channel Fae Transfusion. Then you're going to get your dogs back. You're going to press them again. You'll have 4 dogs out. All 4 of those dogs are working with your tier set bonus, your 4 set bonus, to reduce the cooldown, to reset the cooldown of Storm Strike and let you spam Storm Strike. And then you're going to take Storm Flurry to make sure that those Storm Strikes are doing extra damage. And you're just kind of hoping and praying to the Feral Spirit gods that you're going to get a lot of Storm Strike dogs. That's what you're looking for. The Frost dogs are fine too. Look at this. Icy Edge did 3.2% of our damage. It's like having another trinket. Just the Icy Edge dogs. That's one of the 3 dogs that we got. Look at that. It's crazy. So that's the idea with the build. And of course, you're going to run Focus Lightning and the Essential Extraction and then Chilled to the Core. You could run Unruly Winds instead of Essential. I kind of liked having the cooldown, though, on Fae Transfusion. I'm going to be honest. So that's the build, guys. Night Fae, Witch Doctor Wolfbones, focusing on Storm Strike. It's okay. I need to play it better. It's actually something that can work, I think, in your keys. I just have to play it better. But that's it for now, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to drop a like down below, I'd really appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed yet, what are you doing with your dang life? Go press that red button, okay? Do it. Thanks so much, guys. I'll see you in the next one.